Hello and welcome to sunny Marseille for the launch of the 2021 Yamaha MT-09. You'll notice that it's not very sunny because it's COVID time and we've got the 6 o'clock curfew, so we're back in a hotel room to show you the bike instead of out in a nice sunny field. Anyway, here it is. As you see, it's new. It looks like the existing, a little bit like the existing MT-09, but I can assure you it's very different under the skin. Let's start with the engine. The engine looks the same from the outside, but it has a new crankshaft, which has a 3mm longer stroke than the old model, which gives an extra 42cc, which takes the engine now to 889cc, which is a big difference. Doesn't give much more power, partly because the engine's been revised for new Euro 5 emission standards, and that is difficult, but it does give more torque, and that's partly down to that longer stroke. It's partly down to a heavier crankshaft, partly down to revised fuel injection, which now dumps the fuel basically onto the inlet valves rather than into the intake tract. All of that is claimed to give 6% more torque at a lower peak. The old bike was at 8,000 the peak, this is at 7,000. We were told that would make a really big difference, and that's exactly what we found on the road today. Frame is all new. There's a new process for making it. It's die cast. We're in a process that allows for very, very thin walls in non-critical areas. So the frame is considerably lighter than the old one, but it's stiffer laterally. The subframe is also new. The tail piece is new. It's gone back to being mounted on the seat unit, which makes it easier to unbolt it and put something nicer on because it's not very nice. The wheels are also all new. They're a very special casting method, which again is light. The thinnest part of these wheels is 2mm thick, just 2mm thick. That's half as much as usual. And the result is much less unsprung weight, which is always nice, gives the suspension an easier time. Speaking of suspension, the forks are all new. They're shorter, but they've got the same travel. Their front forks are fully adjustable. You have rebound damping and compression damping on separate fork legs, and you've got preload adjustment as well. At the back, you've only got preload adjustment and rebound, no compression damping. The other big news is electronics. You've got a 3.5-inch TFT screen, which is a little bit cramped for the information that it's trying to show, but it works. It displays everything quite clearly. You do have to just maybe look twice sometimes if you're going fast, but it's very easy to adjust. You've got a scroll wheel on the right-hand handlebar. You've got a mode button on the left hand, and it's easy to control, which is nice. There's a 6-way IMU. It's just a clever box of tricks. It does a lot of sums very quickly, 125 times a second. It takes measurements of front and rear movement, side to side movement, basically everything. It just measures everything, so it knows what the bike's doing. It knows what lean angle it's at. It knows whether it's trying to wheelie, whether it's trying to stoppie. And so it tells the traction control, the ABS, the slide control. These are all functions on the bike this year, and it tells them all what to do. As well as that, you've got a complete ride-by-wire system. There's no direct connection between the throttle and the engine management. It's all electronic. Although you wouldn't know it by twisting the throttle, it feels like a conventional throttle. What's it like to ride? Bloody good fun is what it's like to ride. There's a slight change in the gearing as well. I forgot to say, first and second gear ratios are slightly taller, which takes a little bit of the edginess out of the power delivery low down, which the old model did suffer from. But it's still, the power comes in with a wallop, and the torque, the way you can just ride the torque out of bends, it just pulls like nothing. Second gear, third gear, pulling out of bends, it's just lifting the front wheel. Even though it's actually got an anti-wheelie system, it doesn't stop you having fun. It doesn't stop you wheeling, it just stops you wheeling too much. So you're still going forward fast, but you've still got the front wheel off the floor a bit. And if you want to, in first gear, even with the wheelie control turned on, you can just fool it by just giving it a handful of gas in first. Away it goes, boom, up, straight up. And you can turn it off. You can turn all of the aids off if you wish. Comfort, it's okay for me. I'm a short ass. It's okay for me. It's not, I don't think I'd want to be on it for many hours at a time, but it's got a relatively small fuel tank of 14 litres, so you're not going to be sitting on it for 3-4 hours at a time, although it's claimed to be slightly more fuel efficient than last year's. Our rough measurements today, we did about 150 kilometres, and you can never tell how things have been fueled before. I would say about somewhere between 40 and 45 miles to the gallon, which doesn't sound great, but we were pushing it a bit on very tight and twisty roads where you're always using on and off the throttle, low gears. Not great for economy, so 40-45 miles to the gallon for that is not bad at all, really. This is a tremendously good fun bike. There's not very much steering lock, so it's easy to, if you're turning around in a narrow road, or if you're cutting in between in and out of stationary traffic in town, you may find you hit the lock stops and you risk falling over, but that's a minor a minor complaint, and the rear shock is probably is definitely the weak point in the handling, which is to be expected because although it may not look like it and the specification doesn't sound like it, this is a budget bike. It's under 9 grand and there's nothing to touch it at that price point. In its section of the market, it's cheaper than the Kawasaki Z900, which is £200 or £300 more expensive, and it's, in my opinion, it's vastly more fun and more up to date. To get anything like the same kind of engine characteristics and just sheer fun, that word again, you're really looking at 11.5 grand's worth of speed triple or something like that. There we are, the Yamaha MT-09 2021. Job done. Lovely. Thank you.